It's time to call this special call board meeting of the San Felipe Adora CISD Board of Trustees this June 24th, 2021 to order. Madam Secretary, would you do us the honor of calling roll?
Sir. Mr. Contreras,
Not here.
Ms. Vanuatu Webb,
Present.
Ms. Haynes,
Here.
Mr. Mesa,
Here.
Mr. Overfelt,
Present.
Mr. Smith,
Present.
myself. Sir, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Let the record show that we do have a quorum of board members and that this meeting has been duly called in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. This time we will have opening ceremonies, first with a moment of silence for personal reflection, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. It seems like we were only here yesterday. First item we have is Technology and Operations 12 on the agenda. Consideration to approve the request for competitive seal bids, seal proposals, RFP 21-26 with Frontera Construction LLC funding source, committed funds for the restroom renovations at Del Rio Freshman and subsequent contract. Les Henge.
Good evening, President Massa, Dr. Rios, members of the board. RFP 21-26 was advertised in the Uvalde Leader News as well as 8:30 Times and the district webpage. In addition, invitations were sent out to 6 contractors on May 20th. One response was received and opened on June 16th from Frontera Construction at a total cost of $743,100.
Sorry, Mr. Hangy. Just going back, we have to approve the RFQ because we issued it again. So even though we had done this before, we reissued the RFQ. So let's go back to consent agenda items. Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Hangy.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Overfelt, for noting that item. It's the same RFP 21-26, but it appears under consent agenda, item C, 1, awarding a bid, RFP, RFQ items, and it's a consent C-1, freshman campus restroom renovations, RFP -21-26. So that's the only item on the consent agenda. So any questions regarding that one? I guess if we have any questions, we'll come up for that item. Thank you, Mr. Overfelt, for pointing that out. Again, one action will approve all consent items, so we only have one item. So is there a motion? Motion made by Mr. Overfelt. Is there a second to the motion? Amy Haynes, all those in favor? Consent item is approved. We go back to technology and technology and operations. Consideration to approve the request for competitive seal proposal, RFP 21-26 with Frontera Construction for the restroom renovations at Del Rio Freshman and subsequent contract. Again, Mr. Henge.
Thank you, President Massa, Dr. Rios, members of the board. RFP 21-26 was advertised in the Valde Leader News, the 8:30 Times, as well as the district webpage. Individual invitations were sent out to 6 contractors on May 20th, 2021, and responses were opened on June 16th, 2021 at the Student Performance Center. One bid was received from Frontera Construction LLC in the amount of $743,100. That was the only bid we received for this project. Again, this project does cover the restrooms at Del Rio Freshman for building B, C, and J. Questions?
Questions, board members? No questions.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve request for competitive proposal RFP 21-16 for the restroom renovations at Del Rio Freshman to Frontera Construction LLC and authorize the superintendent of schools to sign a contract and purchase order over $25,000 for services in the amount not to exceed $743,100.
For the recommendation, is there a motion for approval? Motion made by Mr. Smith, seconded by Mr. Overfelt. All those in favor? Motion is approved unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 13, Business and Finance. Consideration to approve the 2020-2021 final amendment budgets for the general operating debt service and food service funds. Amy Childress.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. This evening, the first item I have for you is to present the final amendments for the general fund, food service fund, and the debt service fund. So for the 2020-2021 general fund at this time, for revenue, we are proposing and amending the revenue of $2,300,935, which will end the proposed budget year with revenues of $101,405,093. Then we also have some proposed functional changes on the expenditures that also total $2,300,935 to end the proposed budget for expenditures at $104,639,281, which would leave us with an estimated proposed budget ending fund balance of $25,277,675. Any questions before I move on?
Questions? Anyone?
Okay.
No questions.
All right. The next one I have is for the 2020-2021 proposed budget for our debt service fund. We have no proposed changes for the revenues. So we proposed budget for revenues is $1,993,393. And there are no proposed changes for expenditures. So the expenditure proposed budget is $1,993,183, leaving us with a proposed budget estimated ending fund balance of $210. And then, any questions before?
Questions on the debt service? None?
All right. Okay, this last one is the 2020-2021 proposed budget for food services. We are proposing no changes at this time. So the total revenue will be $6,386,050. And we are proposing no expenditure amendments at this time. So our total expenditures will end at $5,863,845 for an estimated ending fund balance of $653,120. That is all for that agenda item.
Any questions? Yes, sir.
Just wanted to point out or remind or celebrate that when we first started the school year, the solvency of the food service program was in question because students were at home and we were serving limited meals. But the management team, along with Ms. Childress, found creative ways of providing additional meals to students, whether it be weekend meals or evening meals, and found maximum reimbursements. And because of that, we went from potentially being in a big deficit to having a fund balance this year. So congratulations to you and your food service department, ma'am.
Thank you.
All the budget was a work, but this was especially nice to celebrate. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out, Dr. Rios, because I know that in the past, that has been actual work. We end up in the red. So this is very good. Any questions from anyone? Then recommendation, please.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the 2020-2021 final amended budgets, which includes the general fund, debt service fund, and the food service fund.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion for approval? Motion made by Mr. Smith. Is there a second to the motion? Mrs. Webb? All those in favor? Motion is approved unanimously.
Thank you.
And go to item 13B, consideration to approve a resolution to commit the fund balance, of the general fund. Amy Childress.
Good evening once again. See if I can make this a little bit bigger for you. Okay, so the first agenda, we were showing the budget. We're now looking at actual activity, how we expect to end the actual year. So for the 2021 fiscal year, we are forecasting our revenues to be $93,254,757. With expenditures ending of $84,815,891, which will be in excess of $8,438,866. When we add that to our fund balance from 1920, that brings our estimated fund balance to $36,950,730. And then from that estimated fund balance, we have the committed projects that we would like to recommend. So the projects that we will be recommitting from 2020-21 are the Del Rio Freshman Life Skills Unit, the Del Rio Freshman restrooms, new elementary costs, and then we have the security TRE remaining funds. And then new commitments for 2021-22 are, we had separate funding for the Del Rio Life Skills remodel. We have the roof repairs, which comes from insurance money that we received. We have the fuel tank system. This is the tank system is already in process, but this is the remaining balance to finish it. The Del Rio Freshman restrooms, the Buena Vista parking lot, the Del Rio High School track replacement, the vaping sensors, the Buena Vista entry remodel, and then we have some E-rate projects that are still pending. So for total commitments is $5,622,142, which would provide us with an estimated ending fund balance of $31,328,588.
Mr. Mesa, if I may? Yes. All of the projects that are listed up there, they're all projects that we had discussed and funded throughout the year. The only additional new project is the parking lot for Buena Vista Elementary. That's the only one that we're asking the board to commit the funds. Every project, every other project, we started it, but the contractor is in the process of finishing it, or we're in the process of finishing paying for those services. The only new project is the parking lot at Buena Vista that we're asking the board to commit that amount of money so that we can complete that project sometime this year with excess fund balance from this past year.
So for clarity, I'm trying to understand the definition difference between recommit. So if all of this has already been committed, then
Every year, we're required to recommit anything that we had not, that we didn't expand on. So that's, we're recommitting.
yeah, I got that. What I'm asking is, most of this is a recommitment too, I would interpret, because we've already committed. So
So then the difference is when we report the fund balance to the state, we have our committed fund balance and we have our non-committed fund balance. Our committed fund balance is usually part of the excess fund balance. So right now, we're using the word recommit for y'all to approve, but when we report to the state, what y'all are recommitting, we report to the state as committed fund balance. So then we report to the state, we have $25 million in excess fund balance, plus we have another, in this case, how many are we, is it gonna be committed?
The total is 5.6, but
In this case,
3.8 is
5.6. But for our purposes today, we're recommitting plus the restrooms, I'm sorry, the parking lot at Buena Vista. And then we'll take all of that and present it to the state as committed fund balance.
Anyone else? It's a healthy fund balance. Over the past years, it seems like we have not had that large amount. So that's a big plus, being that this was a pandemic year and there were a lot of things that happened that did not affect us, which the whole harmless and regarding ADA, I know that helped quite a bit. So again, I stress how attendance is so important, ADA, keeping a good average daily attendance throughout the year. So that's good.
yeah, that's probably worth noting, right? I mean, at the end of the day, the amount of improvements and increases and so on and so forth that the district has been able to do the past several years and still have that strong of a fund balance, I mean, that's commendable.
Very much so. I think, when we do the spring workshop and we visit other districts, sometimes not far from here, we get to see some of their buildings, and then we come back and we say we're fortunate to have a lot of remodeling happen with either our employees and with funds that we have that we do not have to borrow. So that, I think when we go to the high school and see all the work that has been done by a lot of our own workers, we get to see how much we have saved because of the work being done by in-house, workers that we have. And our buildings look great. There's a lot of work to be done yet, but it still looks very, very good and a very healthy fund balance. With that being said, recommendation, please.
Yes, sir. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the resolution committing the fund balance of the General Operation Fund.
For the recommendation, is there a motion for approval? Motion made by Mr. Smith, seconded by Mrs. Webb. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
You did vote, Mr. Yes, okay, no, that's all. Item 13C, consideration to approve general fund budget amendment for 2020, 2021 commitments from fund balance. Have we done that?
No, this is what, I'm going to ask you if you don't mind to go ahead and read the resolution committing the funds. I believe we have to have that read on record.
Okay. Resolution of the School District Board of Trustees, whereas the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, GASB, has adopted Statement 54 to GASB 54, a new standard for governmental fund balance reporting and governmental fund type definitions that became effective in governmental fiscal year starting June 15, 2010. And whereas San Felipe Doro CISD elects to implement GASB 54 requirements and to apply such requirements to its financial statements beginning with August 31st, 2011 fiscal year. And now therefore be it resolved that San Felipe Doro CISD hereby adopts the following. Fund balance measures the net financial resources available to finance expenditures for future periods. The district's unassigned general fund balance will be maintained to provide district with sufficient working capital to address local and regional emergencies without borrowing. The unassigned general fund balance may only be appropriated by resolution of the Board of Trustees. Fund balance of the district may be committed for a specific source by formal action of the San Felipe Doro CISD Board of Trustees. Amendments or modifications of the committed fund balance must also be approved by formal action of the San Felipe Doro CISD Board of Trustees. Now therefore, be it resolved that San Felipe Doro CISD Board of Trustees commits $5,622,142 of its general fund balance. And be it resolved that San Felipe Doro CISD financial goal is to have a sufficient fund balance in the operating fund with sufficient working capital to address local and regional emergencies without borrowing. The district shall strive to maintain a yearly fund balance in the general operating fund in which the unassigned fund balance is 25%, which equals 3 months of the total operating expenditures. The above resolution is adopted this 24th day of June, 2021.
Thank you, sir.
There's an error there. The rest of it says June 2020.
Okay, I'll update that before you sign it. Sorry. Okay, you want me to go on? So the next agenda item is to, now that we have committed the funds, is to update the 2021, 2022 proposed budget with the functional changes of the committed projects, which we have done. So we are updating the 2021, 2022 proposed budget with the committed funds of $5,622,142. So that brings us to our total expenditures of $112,336,243, which would provide us with a proposed budget estimated ending fund balance for 6/30/22 of $20,562,870.
Questions from board members? Recommendation?
Yes, sir. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the general fund budget amendment for 2021, 2022 commitments from fund balance.
You've heard the recommendation from administration. Motion for approval. Mr. Smith, seconded by Mr. Orfeld. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 13D, consideration to approve for the superintendent to negotiate and sign contract for million, $5,000 rather, with Hilltop Securities Asset Management in the amount not to exceed $7,000. Funding source, debt service fund for arbitrage rebate calculations for the bond issue series 2015 and series 2016. Amy Childress.
Good evening once again. On August 27th of 2020, the Board of Trustees approved a contract with the Bank of New York Mellon to prepare a computation to determine the arbitrage rebate amount for bond series 2015 and 2016. We have been notified that Bank of New York Mellon is no longer going to provide arbitrage services. And the Dallas team, which does our computations, is transitioning over to Hilltop Securities Asset Management in early July 2021, and would like to continue doing our calculations. So at this time, we are asking for administration to approve the superintendent be able to enter into contract negotiations and sign the contract once prepared.
So basically, it's changed hands.
Yes, sir.
It's a different name now.
Yes, sir.
Anyone with a question from board members? No questions. Recommendation.
Yes, sir. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approves for the superintendent to negotiate and sign the contract with Hilltop Securities Asset Management in the amount not to exceed $7,000.
You've heard the recommendation from administration. Is there a motion for approval? Motion made by Mr. Smith, seconded by Mrs. Webb. All those in favor? Motion is approved unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we are going to go into closed session. The time is 6:27 PM. We're going to close session pursuant to 551.074 and 551.071 of the Texas Open Meetings Act. Again, we are now in closed session. Time is 6:27 PM. Okay, the time is 7:49 PM. We're going to reconvene into open session. No action was taken in executive. We're down to item 18 on our agenda, 18A, consideration to approve the personnel report to include the following: new hires, district vacancies. Idea Garcia.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, members of the board. It is the recommendation of administration that the Board of Trustees approve the resignation, vacancies, and following new personnel. Jessica Guerra, third grade teacher for Buena Vista Elementary. Erica Calderon, art teacher for San Felipe Memorial Middle School. Ashley Mercier, special education co-teacher for San Felipe Memorial Middle School. Aurora Flores, mathematics teacher for Del Rio Middle School, 8th grade. And Regina Cardenas, CTE business technology teacher for Del Rio Middle School, 8th grade.
Further recommendation from administration. Is there a motion for approval? Motion made by Amy Haynes, seconded by Mr. Smith. All those in favor? Motion is approved unanimously.
Mr. Mesa,
Yes,
is the next item the Chief
Yes.
Operations Officer?
yes.
Administration would request that that item be tabled at this time.
Okay, we are tabling item 18B. Okay, that will be tabled. All those. I'm sure there's no objection to that. Motion to table, seconded by Amy. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, there being no other items on the agenda, is there a motion for adjournment? Motion made by Mr. Overfeld, seconded by Amy Haynes. All those in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you and good night.